All right, so we're getting ready to do the egg drop competition, and I just wanted to take a second to give you some what I call design hints. So, and just a little bit here, you're going to draw a blueprint. So it says, number one, please draw a detailed blueprint of your initial egg drop design and label each piece. So if you're using straws, draw the straws in there, label what they are, so you can tell how many straws you're going to need. It says, as you build your device, you do not need to stick to this design, but it will help guide you. So just it kind of gives you an idea of how many supplies you're going to buy from the store with your fake money. So yeah, that's number one. And then number two, it says on the back side of the sheet, make a list of supplies, then add up the cost to build your device. So that's what we're going to be doing probably tomorrow. But before we get to that, on this sheet right here, I just wanted to take a second to give you some design hints. So we're going to look where it says design hints here. It says, in a car crash, cars today are much safer than in the past because they have these four key safety features. The following safety features should be present in some way in your egg drop device. So we're just going to talk through the four that almost all vehicles have, modern vehicles have today. And then you think about how a vehicle keeps a passenger safe. When you're doing your egg drop device, you want to make sure that your device keeps your egg safe, right? So it doesn't crack. So number one says, a seatbelt or harness. A seatbelt or harness makes certain that your egg will stay inside your device when it hits the ground. And then it's put a thing saying Newton's first law is that egg will be going really fast inside your container. When the ground stops your device, your egg's going to want to keep going, object in motion, and you need some way to keep your egg inside the container. It says it doesn't matter how safe your egg drop device is if the egg doesn't stay inside the device when it impacts the ground. So you need to make some way for it to be seatbelted or harnessed into the device. Number two, an airbag or cushion layer touching the egg. In a car, the airbag provides a soft cushion next to the passenger so that the passenger feels a smaller force that's going to act over a longer time. So you're basically going to belt your egg in, and then you need to have that belted in egg touching something soft. So whether that's paper that's been shredded up, or maybe if you have something soft like foam or any kind of cushion, you want that to be touching the egg itself. Number three, a safety cage or strong frame. And number three is usually the one that people miss. So it says this cage or frame needs to surround the egg, the seatbelt, and the cushion in order to function properly. So if you picture you got your egg, it's belted in, there's some cushion around it, and then you're going to build a frame to contain that. So it says for cars, houses, and egg drop devices, there has to be a structure that somehow provides strength. And then double star here, so it must mean it's important. Just like building a car or a house, the frame is a great place to start building. So when you're designing your device, think I'm probably going to build the frame first. And just like when they're putting up a new house, you see them framing the house out. You frame it out, so then you have a frame to build off of, and then you can build inside the frame, you can build outside the frame. And we'll look at an example here in a second. Number four, crumple zones. These zones are areas on the outside of the safety cage that are made to intentionally crush. Believe it or not, a car needs to crumple in order for the energy from the impact to be dissipated away from the driver. And some people think, oh, I'm going to build an egg drop device that doesn't crush at all. Well, the energy has to go someplace. So if it doesn't crush, that means all the energy is directed usually towards the egg. So we're going to look at some car crashes, some car test crashes, and you'll see there's intentional spots where you want your device to crumple. So it says, take a look at these two car crash test videos and see if you can spot the difference. So example number one, it says a good crash test with all four safety features. So let's go ahead and click this. And this has all four of the safety features we just talked about. Now let's say the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety is one of the companies that does an outstanding job of crash testing cars, and there's dummies inside here. They're not real people. So and that happens to be the car I drive, and this gets their best rating. It gets a good, and I'll just pause it here. You can see, actually you can't see, but the person's belted in. So that's safety feature number one. And then you have the cushion layer, which is the airbag. So that means that the person's not going to be hitting something hard. And then the frame of this car is actually all around, if you can see those white airbags, the frame's on the outside of the car that provides strength. And you can see the front of that car is pretty much kind of destroyed. You might say to yourself, well, that's bad that it's getting destroyed, but it's getting destroyed. That's actually what's called the crumple zone. and it's doing its job. You can see all the energy is going into all those parts flying apart from each other, even knocks off the front tire. But the energy can't be created or destroyed, so it has to go somewhere. And notice the seatbelt keeps them in the car, and then you have all these cushion layers, airbags. And I just always kind of point out this is a brand new vehicle. Like this car right here probably costs $30,000, $35,000, and they crash them to show that they're safe. So then hopefully more people will buy safe cars. All right, so that has all 4 safety features. Let's go and take a look at number 2 here. It says bad crash test where the crumple zone isn't adequate and the safety cage fails. So let's do this. Sorry about that. All right, so this one is an older vehicle. All right, and see if you can spot where the safety cage fails. And that was pretty quick. It's an older car, so that it's not as high def video, but you can see, oh, and that's the same speed as the one we just watched. You can see the safety cage failed around the passenger. And you can see if that was your egg and your egg drop device, that's not going to be so good. So the strong part of this vehicle, you can see it buckles right at the top. So energy gets into the passenger compartment there. So you kind of need to have all 4 of those features. Students always ask, they say, can you just Google ideas? And I'm sure somebody's come up with a great idea. And I said, yeah, you can Google ideas. And then I put the note on here, but be careful. And I said, caution, egg puns coming. So Laurent and myself tried to make this last part a little funny with some egg puns. See if you can spot them. It says, caution, egg puns coming. Sometimes students try to get their projects over easy. The design below is a top Google result that promises to be excellent. However, throughout the years, many eggs have been scrambled because this design isn't all that it's cracked up to be. I have seen it fail many, 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 many times, and the yoke's on you when it does. Can you take a moment to spot what safety features are missing? So I always have students who say, okay, one of the devices or one of the things we can use are straws. So they Google it, and this is the first thing that pops up or some variation of it. But take a second, hit pause, and see if you can spot, of those 4 safety features we talked about, which safety features are missing from this design. All right, so if we look here, I would actually say it's probably easier just to say what is the design feature for safety that it has of the 4. And the one thing it has is a strong frame. So the reason people think this is going to work is because they think, oh, I remember from geometry or maybe in a previous science class that triangles are strong shapes. So they made a really strong frame around this egg. But what happens usually on a design like this is you can see there's an opening on the side of this. And if it hits in the right way, this egg is not belted in. So it just goes flying out. So it's missing a seatbelt, number 1. Number 2 is it has a really strong frame, but there's no cushion. So when it hits, it's actually going to hit the strong frame. And usually the frame or these straws, it doesn't seem like they're strong enough to crack the egg. But when it hits going at 30 miles an hour, it hits the pavement, it's just going to crack. And then safety feature number 3, it does have the strong frame. And the last thing it's missing is the crumple zones. So on the outside here, when I've seen this work, it's because somehow on the outside you've made crumple zones or areas that are going to crush as it hits the ground to absorb the energy. Another way to think about crumple zones would be if you're ever a kid and you're maybe like up a little high at the park and you jumped off like a platform at the park. If you jumped and you lock your legs, you don't bend them, you feel a lot of force through your knees and through your hips. And that's basically what happens in this design. These straws are basically fixed like you lock in your knees at the playground. So you need to have something that gives. And when you give, you extend that time of impact. And by extending the time of impact, it reduces the force. So yeah, you can use this design. If you use this one how it is right here, just know that I've seen a lot of yoke on the pavement from that one failing. So you gotta include those 4 safety features. Hopefully you take a look back here and you come up with a creative idea. It's funny how an idea that somebody comes up with might look different than yours, but as long as it has these 4, usually you're in pretty good shape. So hopefully that was helpful. If you need any help, just don't be afraid to reach out to your favorite physics teacher. So have a wonderful day and go Physics All-Stars.